I would now request Chief Justice Islamabad High Court, Mr. Justice Atar Minallah, to please join us on the podium, sir. May I request former President, Supreme Court Bar Association and an old friend of late Asma Jahangir, Mr. Yasin Azad, to please join us on the stage. I haven't seen Mr. Ali Ahmed Kurd. Mr. Ali Ahmed Kurd, former President, Supreme Court Bar Association. Sir, please join us on the head table. Please, Kurd Saab. I would now like to invite the honorable ambassadors who are also co-sponsors of this great international event. I would request Her Excellency Andrullah Kaminara, Ambassador of the European Union to Pakistan, to please join us. Chief Saab. I would be requesting His Excellency Wouter Plomp, Ambassador of Netherlands to Pakistan. Please join us. He'll be joining in a while. May I request Dr. Philip Deichmann, Deputy Ambassador of Germany to Pakistan. Sir, please join us on the stage. I'll be requesting His Excellency Christian Turner, the British High Commissioner to Pakistan, to please join us on the stage. And may I also request Mr. Noot Osterby, Resident Representative of UNDP in Pakistan. Sir, please. I would also request the chief organizer of this event, Nida Ali, to please join us on the head table. Nida and her team are actually responsible to arrange everything for this event. Kur Saab. Ali bhai, mere saath aa jaye. Oh, Yasin ke saath bitha. I would now request my co-moderators of today's event, Sulema Jahangir and Mr. Abid Saki, to please come on the stage. I know. Sorry. My apologies. We have also joined by Her Excellency Ma'am Wendy Gilmore, the High Commissioner of Canada to Pakistan. I'm sorry, ma'am. Now, without wasting any minute, I would now request Hafiz Insarul Haq to recite holy verses from Quran Kareem. Hafiz Insarul Haq, advocate.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah ji. I would now request board member of AGHS, an upcoming lawyer and beloved daughter of late Asma Jahangir, Sulema Jahangir, to please come on the podium to introduce the theme of the conference and for welcome note. Sulema Jahangir.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. Good morning, Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan, Honorable Judges, Excellencies, and friends. I want to thank you all for being here today, and especially those who have traveled here from far in these difficult times. Welcome. First and foremost, I wish to thank our sponsors, without whose generous support this conference would not have been possible. In particular, the EU delegation to Pakistan, Her Excellency Andrula Kaminara and her team, thank you. I also wish to thank the Federal Republic of Germany, Kingdom of Netherlands, and the Canadian High Commission. It does honor to my mother's legacy and her work, for which she received several awards from European countries during her lifetime. I won't go out to list them. I also want to thank delegates from the United Nations for their presence, given my mother spent nearly 15 years working there in honorary positions for 2 mandates as a special rapporteur and then as a special representative to Iran at the time she left us. Now, I want to take a moment to remember absent friends. Mr. Kamran Arif, advocate, a steadfast comrade, and Kamla Basin, a friend, a tireless scholar, and activist for human rights from across the border. I want to take a special moment to remember Mr. Ayer Rahman, a human rights giant, my mother's friend, colleague, and mentor. Rahman Saab, who passed away this year, needs no introduction. While he was with us, we felt secure in the light of his intellect, shaped by his lifelong struggle to achieve his principles. He described the last Asma Jahangir conference as a people's assembly and stressed the importance of a fair and civilized discourse with its citizens. We are gathered here today for the 3rd Asma Jahangir conference to celebrate and reassert my mother's vision and her legacy. Invariably described as Pakistan's conscience, she was also a moral compass for the legal community here. My mother had faith in the role of the bar and the judiciary to hold each other accountable. It is heartening to see that the group that she founded continue to flourish and win hotly contested bar elections. We hope that her colleagues and other lawyers who joined this group will continue on the path so clearly defined by her and will not compromise on core principles of independence of judiciary and preserving the rule of law even in challenging times. She believed in the saying that a judgment that is made without due process is a judgment that is written in water. We have seen time and again that these judgments have come back to haunt us at critical junctures in our young democracy, not just political leaders and even military dictators, but also judges themselves. My mother was steadfast in her commitment to the rule of law and due process for all, without fear or favor. If she were here today at this People's Assembly, I am sure that she would have raised her voice out loud against the unaccountability of the state, deep state, and non-state actors in the face of myriad injustices. Today, at this People's Assembly, we must take our commitment to the struggle for freedom of expression in Pakistan and also in neighboring countries. We must continue to demand that journalists, commentators, and activists critical of the state not be gagged, terrorized, beaten up, disappeared, and even killed. Asma would have raised her voice against political victimization. The latest World Justice Report on the rule of law ranks Pakistan at 130 out of 139 countries in the world. The indicators based upon original and wide-ranging data includes an assessment of an effective and impartial justice system, open government, just laws, and checks on executive power. Every indicator today is alarming, from freedom of expression, rule of law, to economic and social well-being. It is regrettable that when politicians and parliamentarians in government talk about development, they ignore the bedrock of development, the rule of law. When they speak of peace in regimes where there is dissent, justify authoritarian measures to impose peace, it is too often the peace of the graveyard. It is the end of the rule of law and the onset of tyranny. Sadly, this kind of tyranny is rife in our region and known to our citizens for far too long. Today, we must pledge to raise our voices and fight against all challenges to human dignity. Dignity is a beautiful concept that knows no boundaries of race, caste, creed, or nationality. Human dignity is compromised all too often in our region. When a family sells a girl child to feed itself in Afghanistan, the disgrace to human dignity is not just felt in Afghanistan, it is felt by us all. We in Pakistan and neighboring countries must understand that the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan will not and cannot be contained within its borders. The brutal repression of the rights of women and girls, religious and ethnic minorities will have a direct effect on the plight of women and girls across the region. States can close borders, but they cannot close hearts and minds. For this conference, the state did not grant visas to many of our international speakers. Yet, they cannot stop voices from traveling across borders. I often think it is ironic that individuals and groups that resort to vigilante and brute violence and take the law in their own hands are allowed to travel, to congregate, and to share ideas.